Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Indie Audiobook Deals YouTube channel. And I am so excited to have award-winning author LoLo Paige with us today. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
It's so nice to have you. And I'm sure everyone will be interested to know that you are doing this interview from your home in Alaska.
I am. The sun is just about to come up. Let's see, it's 9 o'clock and it'll be up probably in another 40 minutes or so. We're in
Nice.
the dark a lot up here at this time of year.
Right, for sure, for sure. So, well, thank you for coming on. I know everyone will watching this will be excited to learn more about your books and everything. So why don't you tell me a little bit about the genres that you write, and if your books are set in Alaska or not, or just some different things about your books. Tell me a little bit about them.
Sure. Well, I started out with I'm a former wildland firefighter for the U.S. Forest Service and the U.S. Bureau of Land Management.
Wow.
So when I finished the day job, I knew I wanted to write, and I thought, gee, I really love that wildland firefighting I did for several years. It really made me grow up, and it just taught me so much. And so I started writing about that, and then I went to a Writer's Digest conference down in Pasadena, and I had the good fortune to meet Heather Graham.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, she just finished a signing, and it was Halloween, and she had this Maleficent costume on with the horns on it. And I was dressed as a hippie. And so I'm like, Heather, if I buy you a glass of wine, will you tell me how to publish this book? Because I had just written it as women's fiction, female firefighter. And she said, you know what, you should put it in the romance genre. And she went into the spiel about how romance is the highest selling genre in the fiction market. And I went, wow, okay. So that's how I did it. And I put him in romantic suspense because I like to introduce antagonists and have all this stuff go wrong when you're behind the fire line and all this kind of stuff. So
Nice.
that's how I've been writing the fire. And yes, they're set in Alaska. In fact, they're set on the first one's a fire I worked on. And then the last two that I wrote are loosely based on fires around Alaska that happened. So
Okay. What a really cool so that you lived that experience and then you can write it and then it takes place in Alaska, which is amazing. I don't think I've ever read. I definitely need to devour your books. I'll probably devour them in audiobook because that's my favorite platform. But like, wow, that's really cool that you have that experience to gather all that info to write the stories.
it's
So
been a lot of fun. And the romantic comedies that I started doing, my polar paired series, a fellow author named that for me. She's so funny. She's from Pennsylvania. She's so funny. Anyway,
nice.
yeah. And so those rom-coms are, I love writing them because they're short and sweet and fun. And I set them up here in Alaska. And then I have another series of rom-coms that I call my Wandering Heart series that are based on trips I took overseas and cruises and stuff. And so,
Nice.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, so that's cool. So readers, your readers and your listeners you can kind of, they can go on a journey with you sort of around the different settings. Nice. I like that. That's
yeah.
awesome. So tell me a little bit, so since we love audiobooks here on the Indie Audiobook Deals channel, tell me like about your narrators and about how you got into making your books into audiobooks and all that good stuff.
Okay. Um, well, what I do is I kind of got bored writing with one point of view. So I write dual points of view in all my romances. I love writing. I worked in a male dominated profession most of my life because when I got done with fire, I got into a little bit of forestry and then oil and gas up here in Alaska, and it's male dominated. And
Sure.
so I spent a lot of time around guys, just listening to them and all this, and felt like I really had a good understanding of how to depict their point of view on the page. And I test drove it on a smoke jumper friend of mine up in Fairbanks, and he goes, yeah, you nailed it pretty much. And I'm like, yay.
Nice.
So
You love
So I
that
just kept
feedback.
doing it, you know?
Nice, awesome. And then when you make when you make your books into audiobooks, do you have solo narration? Do you do dual narration or a combination of each? This is always I love hearing about how the different ways that people find their narrators.
Yes. Well, my first one, it's kind of been a slow go because I use human narration, which, as we know, is a lot more expensive. But so it's I've got one out, and I had one person do the whole thing, and it was really tricky because they let me. A publisher did it in the UK. Their Quest is my publisher, and they sent me all kinds of voice auditions, and because the crew, my fire crew, I have a Samoan on there, an Australian, I have a guy from the Bronx, I have all these different people that come together for this fire crew. And she did a really good job narrating it though. I mean,
Fantastic.
yeah, she didn't distort her voice or anything. I mean, you can tell by the tone of her voice and stuff who's talking.
Right. Yeah.
And if it became confusing, I told her, go ahead and put said so and so or said, so that it'd be real clear.
Yeah, and the best narrators are like I do a lot of I do both solo and duet narration. So on my solo audiobooks, I mean, it amazes me these narrators can do, the female narrators can do these great male voices, and the male narrators can do the female voices, and it just goes to show you. I mean, I think I do all of mine human narrated as well. I just don't think there's anything that can emote like a human, honestly. So
Right, right.
so it's nice to hear that. Like they really do a good job, and I feel like they go through a lot of training and they really work hard on this. So it's great to
Yeah.
hear that.
Well, I was an actor for a stage actor for 40 years, just
Wow.
locally here, just here in
Yeah.
Anchorage. Back in the day when oil money was running, which it's not so much now, but back in the day, we had 18 different theater companies. We had a huge arts
Wow.
and cultural program up here, and there was always an audition for a stage show. So I've done everything from Steel Magnolias to The Odd Couple female version to musicals and all that stuff. And I got
Yeah.
into voice acting, and I did a lot of voice acting for TV and radio here on commercials and stuff.
That's great. So what the sort
Well,
of the
yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, you should narrate your own books." Well, you know what? I did sit down and I read my book aloud to myself, and I'm like, I just didn't want to.
yeah, I understand that.
I
Yeah.
don't know. And it
Sometimes you
takes
want
away
somebody
from the
else.
writing.
Right. And also right. So that it gives you more time to write so someone else can do the narration. And also I think it brings something else to the book where someone else can embody those characters. And really, I mean, I think my narrators do such a good job. That's also something that I have no like there's only so much time in a day, right? So
Yeah, and narrating your own book, I mean, my first 2 books are 100K, and I've since am writing them shorter because I didn't know what I was doing for the first book, and it's long. But, you learn as you go, but, yeah, I didn't wanna spend 12.5 per finished hour on this. I wouldn't have written my next 2 books if you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So that totally makes sense. And I just interviewed this morning a narrator. So we love narrators here, and they do such a good job. So I know there are many people out there happy to narrate your books, and that way you can keep writing and keep putting out the great books for all of us to read.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell me, for your book that's in audio, I'm sure we can find it on all the platforms like Chirp and Spotify and all the places, right?
Yes, it's this one. Here, I'll put it up.
Okay.
Oh, is it
Alaska
backwards? Sorry.
Spark. Awesome. Okay.
Alaska Spark. And that one is in all retailers. It's in Audible and Barnes and Noble and audiobook.com, wherever they sell audiobooks. There, it's pretty much there.
It's
So
all over. Perfect. And so
yeah.
tell me about the heroine in that novel. What's something that
Mm,
the readers and the listeners will gravitate toward?
yes. Well, I have a female wildland firefighter who she's from Montana, and I opened the story in the middle of the action, in the middle of a fire, and
Wow.
there's a homeowner in trouble, and she's trying to save the guy, and so, I don't wanna do too many spoilers, but it didn't work out so well. So her boss thought she might need a break
Got
and a
it.
change of scenery and such, so he reassigned her up to Alaska, where a friend of his is, and, that's where she meets this smoke jumper who she had met on the Montana fire, who had helped her out there, and so she kinda leans on him because she doesn't know anybody up here or anything like that, and so, they kinda get, it's a slow burn thing through the whole thing, but the problem is he's her training instructor. There's 60 people in the training class, and they're, and it's frowned upon if you have, a relationship with your instructor, and even on your same fire crew. I mean, in real life, it happens, because
Sure.
there were 2 people on my real fire crew who had a relationship, and when it went south, it's like people took sides, and it kinda split our crew,
Yeah,
so
I
you
can see
can't they
that.
frown on that.
Right.
Um, my husband was a firefighter, but he was on a different crew, so that was permitted, so
Oh, nice. You guys figured it out.
yeah.
Great. Aw, so that's good. So that's
Basically,
happening.
she just kinda she goes and has all these, experiences fighting fire, and then she runs into some people who don't like women in fire. When I interviewed some of my firefighter friends in California and Arizona, they told me they would disown me if I didn't at least address that situation because it's still going on, and I'm like, "It's 2024, what do you mean it's still going on?" And they're like, "Well, it still is." People still don't like women in fire, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I did some antagonists in there. I didn't go at it really hard, but I
yeah.
mentioned it, so
That's great. It sounds really good, and I love romantic suspense. So it's nice. It sounds like a suspenseful story with. I'm sure your heroine is a strong heroine who's like, if she's got to
yeah.
start over, she's
I
working on
take you to
herself.
the edge, but I don't push you over. That's
Okay, okay. I like that. Awesome. All right, perfect. So everyone out there listening, you can tell us where we can find you, Lolo. Do you have a website? Are you on social media? Tell us all the places.
Oh, yeah, I'm everywhere. LoLoPage.com, and then I have, an author page on Facebook, Lolo Page Wildland Fire. And I have a reader group, LoLo Page Readers, and I'm on TikTok and Instagram
Right.
and Pinterest and all
Oh,
that stuff.
you got to do it now, right? That's how you
Yeah,
have to do it.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, so for everyone watching or listening to this, if you want to check out Lolo's books, you can find her at Lolo Page. I'll also put it in the description below. I'll put her website and where you can find her. And if you love romantic suspense, it sounds like these are right up your alley. I know that I do. Tell me one more time the name of the book that's in audio, so we can all check that out.
Alaska Spark.
Awesome. Okay, so make
There's
sure.
Alaska Spark, Alaska Blaze, and Alaska Inferno. I'm
Love
gonna
it.
run out of fire words here
I
pretty
know,
quick.
right? I love it. I love it. But that's great because it really encompasses what the series is about. So that's good.
Well, my
Very
next trilogy is gonna be in Montana, so I'm gonna take my Alaska fire crew down there, and
nice.
'cause
Nice.
that's where I learned fire, that's where I trained at the smoke jump base down in Missoula and all that, so it's kinda like going home for me, so
Awesome. I love it. That's perfect. Very nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us from Alaska. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
yes, this has been so much fun, thank you for having me.
Sure. And thanks to all of you all for watching. Make sure you check out Lolo's books and her audiobooks and everything else. Here at Indie Audiobook Deals, we love bringing you great audiobook deals. Remember that our deals refresh every 2 weeks, so make sure you're checking out indieaudiobookdeals.com because we'll always be supplying you with the best audiobook deals to listen through your earbuds and find great stories. So I hope everybody has a great day and thanks for watching.
Bye-bye, thank you.